Hi guys, Sean here with Fotodioxpro.com. It's currently 6 degrees out here in Chicago. It's super cold, Christmas is over, and we have to do something to keep from going crazy and getting cabin fever. So today I'm going to show you how I took the tiny little lens on this little Japanese hit camera and put it on a Sony camera. Let me show you how I did it. Okay, we're back in the studio. I have defrosted myself. And now I'm going to show you how I put this tiny little lens on this little spy hit camera onto a Sony. Now these cameras are pretty interesting. I found this one in an antique store a couple weeks ago. I got it for $20. And I did some research, and basically these things were sold back in the day to kids out of the back of comic books and magazines. They were very cheap, and they used this tiny little film format, and it was on paper. So it worked just like an old-fashioned camera. You would turn this wheel, advance the film, take your pictures. And I do want to try to shoot film with it because I'm crazy and I want to try to figure that out. I'm sure there's a way to do it. In the meantime, I was thinking that I could try to put this lens on a camera, and sure enough, it's old, so it pops right off. I'm going to probably glue it on eventually, but for now, this is really useful. Let me show you how I built the adapter to put this lens on my Sony camera. Now you're going to have to hear me out. This build is a little trickier than some of our other builds. Now as you can see, the distance from where the film goes, in this case it'll be our digital sensor, but in the camera the film was here, the lens was here. So I only have like 1.5 inches of space to work with before I have the lens too far away from my sensor, and then I can't have infinity focus. So I needed a very slim adapter, and I found that in our Leica M to Sony E-mount Helicoid focus adapter. This is a really nice small adapter, but when you turn the silver ring, it actually adjusts the focus, which is essential for adapting a lens like this that doesn't have any sort of focus control. So I can focus close up with this adapter, which is really nice. Now the next step is I have to figure out a way to position this lens in the adapter. And as you can see, the hole is too big. So I took our C-mount to micro 4/3 adapter. Now this adapter doesn't really work with this adapter. They're not really compatible. But the nice thing is it actually fits pretty snugly right in there. So I'm going to probably glue this in a little later, but for now we'll just tape it. Now even with this adapter in, there's still a little too much room. So the lens is still kind of floating in there. So I next took our D-mount to C-mount adapter. Now this is an adapter for mounting tiny little D-mount lenses for double 8mm home movie cameras into a C-mount mount. The interesting thing about this adapter is it doesn't have a stop. So you can screw it all the way back, and that's nice because it actually gives us a little more flexibility with this system. So I'm just going to thread that in there. And we're actually going to thread it in farther than we need to, and that'll give us a little space to rest the lens. So now we just take the lens, we pop it right in there. We're pretty much set. At this point I could glue it, but I'm not going to do that yet because I want to make sure everything's fully calibrated. So I'm actually just going to put some tape down, and this will allow us to do some testing before I make a final decision on exactly how I want this set up and how I'm going to glue it. It's never a good idea to use glue when you're not 100% sure, because then it makes it a lot trickier if you have to make some adjustments. And I'm also not going to glue this down yet. I'm just going to take some tape and make some tape rolls, and that will allow me to kind of test it out. And there you go. The lens is temporarily mounted, and if I like the setup as it is, I'll probably glue it down and just kind of keep this as a permanent lens adapter combo. Now, I probably won't glue down the lens because I still want to put it back on this camera and try shooting film with it, but I'll glue down everything else. Let's mount it on a camera now and see what kind of images we can get with it. All right, I got a Sony a7R II here. Let's line up the red dot on the lens adapter with the white dot on the camera. There we go. We're mounted and ready to go. And we also have focus control with the macro helicoid focus adjustment. Let's check out some of the photos and videos I captured with this crazy vintage lens. Okay, as you can see, this lens is very strange. It was definitely not made for a full frame camera. It was made for the tiny film of this camera, and so we get really soft edges, but it is pretty amazing that we're getting full coverage on a full frame sensor with this lens. This lens has a image circle that actually fits. Of course, most of the image isn't very usable, but the center is a little more sharp, and I just love the dreamy look I was able to create with this lens. It's really nice for just kind of capturing more artistic shots. It kind of has a lens baby feel to it. And you know, it only costs $20 plus the adapters I used. But in some ways it's a way cheaper option and a way cooler option. So if you like to do a similar build to the one I did today, click the links in the description below and I'll kind of list all the adapters I use for this build. Depending on what camera you find, the lens might be slightly bigger, it may be harder to take off. This is just a generic hit camera. I'm not really sure which model it is. So if you have any questions about the build or comments about the video, comment below. And click right here to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more videos just like this one. I'm Sean with Fotodiox, and stay warm out there.